Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode of our Brave Noise interview series, we're joined by Cath from Attic Brew Co, who dares to be brave and make noise about their Brave Noise brew. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer and making a brave noise. Come join us.
Hello, welcome. We have Cath with us from Attic. We're talking today about their Brave Noise beer. So, Cath, do you want to introduce yourself quick? Talk about Attic. Talk about who you are, what you do.
Hi, thanks for having me on. That's really exciting. And it's really exciting to talk about Brave Noise. So, yeah, you're right. I work for Attic Brew Co. We're based in Birmingham, in Sturchley, just to the south of the city. Just across the road from Cadbury's, so you can combine a nice trip to Cadbury World with coming to drink some beers. I've worked for Attic for about 18 months now. They started 5 years ago, founded by two friends, Sam and Ollie, who were at university together. Sam is a home brewer, and Ollie's just a very keen beer drinker. They both left university and went to do other things, and then realised that actually what they wanted to do was start a brewery. I don't know if you asked them now if they would still say the same, but there we are where we are. The brewery's really expanded a lot since we started. The first brewery was really small and was in the same area as the tap room. We're based in two now warehouses which are over 100 years old, so that's pretty cool. When the brewery started, there was like 4,000 litres fermentation. Last summer we went up to about 55,000, and as of 2 weeks ago, when we had some new tanks in, we got over 90,000 litres now.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a big expansion in the space of 5 years. But yeah, so we have a tap room on site where we serve our own beers and guests, and we also have a second bar now in the jewellery quarter called the Barrel Store, where we're going to be able to do barrel aged beers and mixed fermentations. So that's really exciting.
Oh, that's really exciting.
I feel like I've already got there's already questions that I want to ask that I'm going to hold off asking because it's a Brave Noise episode. I'm not going to ask about that, but we're going to have you back on at some point so we can talk, because I've already got questions about being in a building that's that old and all these other amazing questions that I'm like, don't say.
Write those
but also
down.
you are, from my experience, the friendly face that you see at lots of different beer festivals where you guys go. I mean, you've done quite a lot of the festivals. I feel like I always see you floating about, and it's always like, hey.
Yeah, so we're a pretty small team. We've expanded quite a lot actually since I joined. So when I joined, I really was the first kind of full-time salesperson. So I'm the business development manager for Attic Brew Co. And basically before then, Ollie was pretty much doing all of the sales himself. So when I started in April 2022, I have to remember what year it is because we all lost some years.
Who knows what year we're on now?
So when I started last year in April, I really was kind of the first person to be kind of full-time in sales. And since then, Jo, who was already part of the business, she's become more full-time in sales, and now she's moved in to do a lot of our marketing. So she's also getting involved in lots of events. And then John has joined us as well recently in a sales role too. So we've really expanded. But yeah, I seem to kind of get I don't know whether it's a short straw, but I love a beer festival, so I actually don't mind going and working at them all. It can be hard work, but I really like getting out there and sharing the beers with people and talking about them and getting people to try our beers, particularly if it's not local. That really makes a big difference.
And you're a very inviting face to see as well. So it's like when you're going around, you're like, what beer am I going to have? And you're like, gonna go see Cath and get a beer.
Yeah.
it's always nice.
You come and see me and get beer. That's excellent.
Yeah. It's when you see you across the room and there's like a wave, and then it's like, I'll be over in a minute.
I was really sad that I unexpectedly ended up at Suds Fest and you weren't there, and I was like, oh, Cath's a different one.
Yeah, that was a prime weekend where we had 3 events. All on the same weekend. So we had Suds, you're right, in Birmingham. Ollie and I had gone up to Leeds to be at Amity Fest, and we had a small local festival just around the corner from the brewery as well. So yeah, we spread ourselves a bit thin. that weekend.
It definitely happens.
Well,
So the beer.
Yes.
First, I want to say
it.
I absolutely love the label on this one. Like,
Thank
it
you.
really combines like the artwork that I expect from Attic and the Brave Noise stuff. Like, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Like,
Thank you.
For those that are listening, it looks like the Brave Noise logo on the other ones, but it's got like a nice kind of orangey, peachy colour behind the letters, and there's like that like the textural bit that you get from the Attic artwork, because they're always really lovely patterns, is over the text, and I think it's lovely, and the colours look like that little turquoise in the background there.
And I love that there's the hops like down the side as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So good.
I love that that's on the labels as well.
So we're super lucky actually, because we actually have our own in-house designer, Pierce.
Nice.
He does all of our artwork, all of our graphics, all of the designs that you see on the cans or any of our branding, our pull-up signs, our flags, anything like that. Pierce looks after all of that and is incredibly talented.
Great branding. I love it.
And it's I really love that, we kind of kept the essence of the Brave Noise label, but we also made it Attic at the same time. We always try and include the hops, or at least a breakdown of the flavour on the side. We made sure to include the Women in Beer logo on the front, and we'll come and talk about them, I'm sure, in a bit. And also a little QR code there to link through to our code of practice, which obviously is a really important part of the Brave Noise movement.
Love it. Did you do well? I can see from this list of hops that you haven't done exactly the same as the regular recipe. Would you like to tell us how it's changed up a little bit?
I'm gonna drink while you do that. Because I can't. It smells so good. It smells so good that I can't hold off anymore.
So you're right. So obviously we got the recipe as well as the artwork over from the folks in the US, and they said this was kind of the standard recipe that they've been using. And our head brewer Sam had a little sort of email chat with them and said, look, can we change this up a little bit? Can we fix it? Change a few things. Mainly it's driven by the hops that we already had on contract. As you'll know, Joe, particularly, hops are really expensive, and so we wanted to be able to utilise stuff we already had. As well as that, I have to say that Bath Hass very kindly gave us some Sabro Incognito, which went into the whirlpool. I tipped it in myself. We tended to use then generally like hops that we already had available. They're also quite kind of classic Attic hops. We're very into the tropical flavours, the slight, the kind of little tiny bit of hot bitterness, little bit of coconut in there as well, the kind of mangoes, nice pineapples, that kind of flavours. So, and obviously, the folks at Brave Noise were happy for us to change up the recipe as we saw fit. That's really why we made the changes, to utilise what we had, and obviously to utilise, the great, nice gift we had from you guys at Bath Hass as well.
That makes perfect sense, because then you get a little bit more money that you can give to your callers.
Yes, exactly.
The Sabro really comes through so beautifully as well, but it doesn't overpower all the other flavours as well. It's just so good.
I think the Incognito in the whirlpool worked really well for that. So
I'll just smile at that. I can get the Talus as well, but I love a bit of Talus. I know some people aren't keen on it, but I love Talus. So we've got Sabro, Talus, Mosaic, and HBC 586 in this as well. Ooh,
yes,
lovely.
We had a little bit of Sultana Salvo as well in the whirlpool. But the Mosaic, Talus, and HBC 586 were all part of the dry hop.
Nice.
It's just so drinkable. I have bought some cans from Elusive as well, because they had cans there as well, and I was like, just buy all of the ones that you can get, because it is they've still got a few left as well, and this is just absolutely beautiful. And it's just I want to get, I feel like people I work with will really enjoy this as well, and I feel like when you talk about ones that are balance is like saison, and I'm like, oh, that might not be their demographic. I feel like this is like people I work with will really enjoy this. I'm like, I want to go buy more cans and bring them into work because it is so sessionable and easy to drink.
Cool. I mean, that, our wheelhouse at Attic, what we do most often is, pales, IPAs, NEPAs, etc. That's where we excel, I think, in brewing. And like you say as well, Tori, one thing we're really keen on with all of our beers is that it makes you want to kind of go and have another sip or another pint. You get to the end, you go, oh, I'll have another one of those. We want it to be a beer to bring all of our beers to be, beers to bring people together and just to enjoy and, just have fun with.
So I guess this leads us on to the big question is why did Attic decide to get involved in brewing a Brave Noise beer?
Cool. Obviously when I started, I knew already like a lot about Brave Noise. I'd read all the stuff that, led up to it kind of being created as a movement, and seen other breweries making it. So when I joined Attic, it was one of the things I was really keen to get us involved with. I think as a small business, it's this kind of code of conduct and ways of working type thing is something which takes time. When there's only a few of you in the brewery and in the office, etc., it's quite easy to sort of all be on the same page, if that makes sense. But I think as a business grows, it's good to have that structure and that kind of framework so that people know what is expected of them and what we will and will not allow to happen in our workplace. I think as well the other thing about Brave Noise, and I'm sure you ladies and lots of people listening will know this too, is that I think there's probably not many of us in the beer industry who haven't experienced some sort of discrimination, for want of a better word, I guess, be that at a festival or in the workplace or in a bar, etc., where you're treated slightly differently, and that, I've experienced that, and I think it's something that we all need to show as an industry that we're serious to stop, that we won't allow that to happen in our workplace or in our taproom or our bar. We want to be like really inclusive, and I think by publishing a code of conduct and by making a Brave Noise, we are kind of putting our head above the parapet and saying, yeah, we're doing this now, folks. We're committed to sticking to this. It's easy to say, oh yeah, like we'll be inclusive, but I think in doing this, you're really kind of putting it out there. I mean, we had a national launch for this beer at like 16 venues around the UK, so there's pretty much a lot of the UK now knows that Attic is committed to having, an inclusive and non-discriminatory workplace.
I love that. That's so great.
I think it is something that is really, it is just, I think part of the sticking your head above the parapet as well, it's more, you almost open yourself up as well to like have people challenge you in it and hold you accountable. So it's like, you might know you're doing all the right things, but also it's kind of like put out there as well to say to other people, like, if you don't feel like we're doing the right things, like, let us know and we're willing. It shows a willingness to have the conversation as well. Yeah. And I think that's, I've heard some places, I've heard the argument that sometimes places are like, oh, well, what happens if we do this and then, down the line somebody has an issue or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but actually by doing it and putting your head above the parapet is actually a really positive thing, because it's showing that this is your intention and this is like promoting a positive conversation as well of like, if there are concerns, then let's talk about them. Yeah. And I think a lot of places like almost shy away and they're afraid of that, and it's not something that should be shied away from.
Yeah, and we're all just human, aren't we? Like, we can all make mistakes, but it's how you deal with that in the long run. And if you've got that framework in place saying this is how we're going to deal with it, then that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, and I think it sets up, for it gives us something to point to, whether that be in the tap room or at a festival. If somebody in our space is not behaving in a way that we find appropriate, we have something now which we can say, look, this is on the website. By coming into the tap room or by coming in to be a contractor in the brewery, you're agreeing to do this, and for whatever reason, whatever you've done isn't acceptable to us. We've got something which says you're committing to this by coming to be part of our team or part of one of our guests, in the tap room. So I think that's important. And it was good, actually. One of the venues that was part of the launch actually sent me a message and said, oh, it was really good because having the beer on the bar actually started conversations, people asking about what is Brave Noise, what does it mean, why have you got this in your bar? And they were saying how good it was to be able to have those conversations with people, and raise people's awareness, because I think we all know the story behind how it started. We all know some of the awful things that have gone on, but probably a lot of your everyday drinkers probably don't know. So in highlighting this and saying to people, look, have a think about where you're buying your beer from, I think it's really important.
Yeah, I know even more recently I've still had people still asking the questions more recently to me of like, oh, what, you post a lot about this stuff, like, what actually is it? And I'm like, it is that thing that almost, it takes a minute, because we've been talking about this stuff for so long that it feels like, oh, everyone knows what this is, but it's just a sobering reminder that we have things that people don't know, like the average everyday person that's not necessarily into craft beer, and some of these venues might just have people that's their local, and they're not necessarily in the craft beer scene. They might not know about that, so going there, like you said, it's a conversation starter. And I think it's really important as well, having that that code of conduct, like you said. It is here's what it almost displays, like, here's what we're willing to tolerate and here's what we're not willing to tolerate. And if you come in here, what we're not going to put up with and we're not going to tolerate. So yeah, it's just a really positive thing, I think.
Yeah,
agreed.
So we touched on it briefly while we were talking about the can art, but can you tell us which cause you're supporting and why you chose this particular cause?
So we are supporting Women in Beer in Edinburgh. So there used to be Beers Without Beards, and they've just changed their name to be Women in Beer, which is amazing. I've known Amelie for a long time, who runs it, and she's always been incredibly inspirational and very vocal in her support and championing of women and minorities within the beer industry. And I've always found her very supportive as I've sort of moved through my career as well, and in friendship too. I was lucky enough to go up to the Women in Beer Festival when it happened in 2019, I think it was, up in Edinburgh, which was great, just to be together with so many sort of great people talking about beer and stuff like that. So when we had a look, we thought, which would we support? I think important for me, particularly as well in supporting this, is that, it started out as a group to help and promote women drinking beer. I think we're going to talk in a few minutes that, I run a ladies' beer group here in Birmingham called Brum Beer Babs, and I'm very inspired by other groups around the country doing this. Getting women to drink beer, getting women to try things, try new beers, talk about them, etc., without any pressure of, perhaps a bit of mansplaining along the way. And I think also Amelie's obviously just announced recently, and this is partly what our money will go towards, is her new mentorship scheme, which I think is like super amazing. And the mentors that she's got involved are just incredible, really, really incredible people. And I know she's already had like a lot of applications for people already to be mentored by these folks. And yeah, I think it's going to be really good. So I'm really excited that we're able to help Amelie and the Women in Beer team to realise this cool new mentorship scheme.
It was honestly, hearing about that, I was just like, this is the thing that Joe and I have had so many conversations, not on the podcast, just like off the podcasting, with various different people like across the industry, of when we've done interviews, and then like some conversations would lead down a certain path, and then afterwards we'd be sort of chatting about it, and we're like, oh, what they're doing in the US, it's like they've got this situation and that scheme and all these different things that they've got out there across the US. And we just kept being like, we have to have something like that over here. Like, how do we not have something like that over here? And we've just been like, someone's got to do it. And then when we saw that, we were like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's happening. I think it's going to be such a positive thing
Yeah.
across the board. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that like rolled out, that first wave be rolled out, and to see like people's experiences off the back end of that, and just seeing people grow and develop. And it was just, I don't know, for me as a person that's sort of not like, I'm not getting involved, just reading that and being like, oh my god, I know that this is something that I felt would be so amazing to have someone do, and seeing it happen, it's like, yes. It's very exciting.
It's so exciting.
It is.
And the Women in Beer Festival, like, I went this past November, and it's like, it's small but it's so mighty. Like, you get in a room with all of these amazing people that you just get to connect with and hear what they're doing and discuss things, and you're just making connections. Like, if the mentorship is then the extension of that, I can't see it being anything but successful. So fingers crossed that this is going to have big things coming out of it, I think. We'll put the link to the website about it in the show notes, and the Patreon is up now, so we'll put that in there as well, so people can also donate to the Patreon for it as well.
Yeah,
I've been sharing it when I've seen it shared, and it's like, I find it really just watching the live feed this past, the one that's just passed that Joe was at as well. Like, I just found it really inspiring, just listening. It makes me feel energized and inspired. And it's like, I don't even work in beer. And I was like, I'm energized and it's inspired. Like, you must feel, both of you must feel like even more buzzing about it. So.
I mean, you don't get paid to be in beer, but you do plenty in the beer community. You're welcome. You're all right. Don't worry. You're about
You're in the gang. You're in the gang.
I'm in there feeling energized and good to go. So I can only imagine like how you both feel.
Yeah. You're in the gang or the cult. I'm not quite sure which it is, but yeah.
It
depends on the day.
If it's a cult, it's a fun one. We have beer. We have all kinds of beer. It's great. Yeah, we've got a good chat. Speaking of getting in the cult, the beer meetups, the fun there in the gang. You mentioned briefly about the Brum Beer Babs. Tell us about, I guess, the conception of that, when it started, and sort of how it's progressed and where it is today.
Yeah, so it's a super fun thing, actually. So we had our 6th birthday this year. So it started like 6 years ago, just with me and like a couple of girlfriends kind of in the pub having a beer. And you know how it is, you look around and you think, oh, like, we might be the only women in here, or we're in the minority, or, you know, maybe there are some women but they're not drinking beer. And I don't have a problem with that. Drink whatever you like.
What you know, like, cool. Yeah.
But, you know, and you know, thinking about experiences in the past, you know, mostly where you've gone into a pub and, you know, you've ordered a pint. I remember I used to go out to lunch with a friend of mine that I used to work with. And he's a wine drinker. I'm a beer drinker, and we'd go to the bar and order a pint and a glass of wine, and they'd put the glass of wine in front of me and the pint of beer in front of him. So, you know, that kind of thing just got me thinking. And obviously already existing at that point were Ladies That Beer, which Julie runs up in Liverpool. I think they'd been already going for about a year, 18 months at this point. And I kind of thought, do you know what? Maybe there's an opportunity here for, you know, maybe there are more like-minded women out there who would like a place to go and have a beer and, you know, not worry about trying it and going, oh, I don't like it, or I've never had an IPA before, or I've never had a saison, or I don't know what this is, or what does this word mean, without the worry of having the sort of tutting, eye-rolling kind of thing, which it's not, you know, I'm tarring everybody with very, very broad brush here. This doesn't happen all the time, but, you know, I'm sure we've all experienced this sort of when you're starting out in your beer journey and you don't know what a certain style of beer is, or that, you know, HB 586 is a hop.
Right.
You know, I mean, when they don't have a name, you get confused.
Yeah, let's be real. It doesn't have to happen all the time. It just has to happen one time for somebody to absolutely be stripped of their confidence to ever go back. Like, I feel like you could go into a situation and you're going, oh, that's great, I'm going to try this, and I'm excited and I'm keen. And 3 times before that, you could have a really great experience. For that 4th time, someone could just knock the wind right out of you. And if you don't have that system around you and you're on your own there, you might be like, you know what? Clearly this isn't meant for me.
Yeah.
And I'm all set.
Yeah. I think, and also as well, you know, two things out of that as well, that, you know, for a lot of women, going into a pub on their own is quite a daunting experience.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the pub. I mean, I'm a pretty tough old soul by now, and I pretty much don't mind. But for a lot of women, it can be quite an intimidating experience, particularly, you know, kind of oldie worldy type pubs, which can be quite dark, and you don't really know who's in there. And then you're sort of confronted by, you know, maybe a lot of hand pulls, so you don't know, do I like cask beer, etc. You know, that's part of it. And also certainly that, although this is getting better, that, you know, a lot of women have the feeling that they don't like beer, you know, either because they've tried lots of, say, very fizzy lager, for example, or they've tried like a really traditional pint of cask that's like super bitter and really horrid. I mean, prime example is that I had a lady at a beer festival just recently, and I said, oh, you know, do you want to try something? She went, oh, that's okay, I don't like hops. And I went, oh, okay. And I actually gave her some of our Intuition to try, which is our core pale, which is really, really tropical. And she tried and said, oh, that's really nice. So it isn't that she doesn't like hops, because all the flavour from that comes from the hops.
Yeah.
Right? It's because she doesn't like bitter things, which is fine. So Brum Beer Babs really kind of started from all of those kind of things in my mind, thinking about getting together. And so, yeah, it started in April, what would it be, 2017? Yeah, 2017. I had no idea if anyone would turn up. I had no idea if it would last 1 month, 6 months, whatever. But, you know, here we are 6 years later. We carried on all the way through the pandemic. We met online every month through the pandemic in exactly the same way as we would meet if we could do it for real. We did all kinds of fun things. We had a Christmas quiz online and a lesson about glassware. And we had a birthday beer tasting with Campervan from Edinburgh, from Leith.
Amazing.
So, yeah, we've managed to keep it going for 6 years. In the last couple of years, so for our 5th birthday, I started to organise Brum Brew Fest, which is a festival that happens in April for the Babs. Ideally, it was because it was our 5th birthday, so it's a big celebration. And it, rather than a physical festival in one venue, it encompasses venues across the city. So we had 21 venues last year. This year we had 32 venues.
Wow.
That's insane.
So it runs over a weekend. People get a little paper map or paper list of venues, and they have to go around and collect a stamp in 5 different venues. So they have to have a drink in 5 different venues. And then if they're lucky enough, if they're quick enough, they get a badge designed by Punks and Chancers. So the Yes Bab.
I've got my badge from them over there.
I've seen.
I love Punks and Chancers.
I've seen your festival, air quotes, 2 years in a row, and every time it's on, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do that. That looks so fun, and I'm always busy, and I just get massive FOMO because it looks so much fun. And the badge is so fun. Like, 1 year I'm going to get to it if you keep doing it.
If I keep doing it. Yeah, if I keep doing it. So, yeah, we've done it for the last 2 years. We do it in April, which is when it's our birthday. So, yeah, that's something that's just come out of it, really, where I felt like, you know, particularly post-pandemic, you know, being able to support independent venues, breweries, you know, tap rooms, bars, restaurants, etc. across the city, just more important than ever. And it's really popular. We had 500 badges this year, so limited edition. Once they're gone, and they'd all gone. It starts on a Thursday and runs till the Sunday, and they'd pretty much all gone by Saturday afternoon.
Wow.
So
I feel like that is, I would never because I'd be like, I can get there on a Friday evening.
Yeah.
And at that point I'd be like, it's gone. And it's gone.
Then she cries.
Yeah, they go they'd lasted a couple of days. It was better. I learned from the first year we had a lot less, so there were more, but there were more venues obviously this year.
Yeah.
I think this year there was one. I certainly saw pictures of one couple who'd done all 32 venues by Saturday afternoon. It's pretty impressive.
So
That's really impressive.
I know, and they're all across the city. They're not just in the city centre.
Yeah.
They're in all the suburbs as well. So yeah, that was a pretty impressive.
That's really impressive. Yeah. That's planning.
Joe, next April, this could be our mission.
Yeah.
We could be that duo. It could be the two of us.
You're like, yay! You've got a badge. Yeah, it's amazing how popular the Punks and Chances brand is here.
Oh yeah.
In Birmingham, you know, and you know, the fact is they're a limited edition, so once they're gone, they're gone. So yeah, but yeah, that's fun. So yeah, it's just the Brum Beer thing is just fun. We have some people who've come like from day one, come like nearly every month, and then we have a few people who kind of dip in and out. We have new people. There's no pressure to turn up every month. Just come along. Sometimes we'll do an event. More often than not, we just meet up in a local independent bar or tap room and just have a few beers and a chat and yeah, just hang out.
How did you originally advertise for it? Was that like on Facebook, or like how did you originally get the first crew together?
So it was on social media. So we're on Facebook and we're on Twitter for as long as that's gonna. It's not Twitter now, is it X? We're on X.
Oh,
I don't really about
that.
I don't know. One day the logo, I barely use it, and then one day the logo is just different, and I was like, oh, I guess it's called something different now. I had no idea.
Everyone is still going to call it Twitter. It's like when they change the names of things, you still call it by the old name.
Right. Everyone is absolutely.
It's still called a tweet.
Yeah.
Like what's he going to call it? Like X something? Like that doesn't work. Like
it doesn't work. So. But yeah, so it started like that actually. It started, you know, Facebook and Twitter, and we still continue to use Facebook and Twitter. If I remember, I try and share it on my Instagram as well with like the hashtag for Brum Beer Babs, but we don't have our own Instagram. The Brew Fest does. The Brew Fest has an Instagram and a Twitter and a Facebook. Which is kind of active, usually just during the festival, to be honest. So it in the run up to, and then obviously during the festival. But yeah, that's how we tend to organise our meetups, just like that. So you just kind of watch online, you know, say, oh, we're meeting on, you know, this Thursday at this place at this time. But yeah, that's how it started really. Actually, the first time we met was at the Wolf, which is where so that's our birthplace. And it was actually a 5 Points beer tasting.
Ah. Amazing.
Which was really good, really fun. So yeah, it was and as I say, it's just kind of grown from there really. So we have quite a big following on socials, and then as I say, in the meetups we'll have anything from, sometimes we'll only have like 3 or 4 people, sometimes we'll have 23 people. It just depends on who's around, you know.
And do you just show up and it's kind of like we just go and talk about our day and the beer and just enjoy each other's company, or do you do like specific themes or?
Yeah, a mixture of stuff really. Generally, it's just a meet-up. So we'll say we're going to be in this bar. People will turn up. We talk about the beers that are on, like, have you had this beer before? You know, haven't tried a, you know, pink marshmallow, chocolate brownie, jelly stout before, let's have one of those or something like that. You know, and we talk about that, and we talk about, you know, things that maybe we've seen about the beer industry, or people might have questions about a beer or a style or stuff like that. Sometimes we'll do events, you know, sometimes we'll do specific tastings. If there's like a Meet the Brewer somewhere, we might go to that. Sometimes we'll go and have like food, or we'll do a quiz, or yeah, it's just different things really. It's kind of like, don't want to make it too heavy for people, you know, just turn up. The idea is just to make it like a really kind of welcoming space, so that if you're coming to it first off, you know, if you know lots about beer or you know nothing about beer, you know, there's a space at the table for you.
That's amazing. And to bring it back to the Brave Noise, you guys, for the launch of Brave Noise, you had like a meetup or something, didn't you?
Yeah, so we had a meetup at Cherry Red's, which is a really amazing kind of cafe bar in the centre of Birmingham, run by an incredible woman called Jen, who's an absolute legend in the Birmingham beer scene. And yeah, so we had a meetup there, and it was really nice actually because Andy from Elusive actually was in town during the day for another event, and so I was able to meet up with him and have a pint of Brave Noise as well, which was really cool. So
nicest man in brewing.
He's such a nice,
yes, he is.
lovely person.
I love him.
Who doesn't love Andy? Like
It's
everyone
really
loves
true.
And if you
Andy.
don't love Andy, then there's obviously something
There's
wrong with you.
something wrong
There's
with
a problem with
you.
you.
Yeah,
It's
there's
not
a problem with
Andy,
you.
It's a problem with you,
Yeah.
actually.
The problem is with you, not with Andy.
Yeah, no.
So back to sort of, I guess, the original overarching questions about the Brave Noise. What changes, I guess, from your personal perspective, but also if you know from kind of Attic's perspective as well, what changes would you like to see within the industry around this inclusivity and equality topic?
I think for me, it's about, we talked a bit about this before, but it's being transparent, and putting your stake in the ground and saying, here we are, we have a code of conduct, this is the behaviour we expect from people, these are the things we won't accept, and to promote that, and not only just for breweries and their associated tap rooms. I think festivals, we've seen in past years where there's been some really awful behaviour at festivals. I think now I see festivals who say, here's our code of conduct, but I still feel there's more that festivals could do to kind of promote it more. I want to see stuff on their socials saying, if you're coming to our festival, this is the sort of behaviour we won't tolerate. And if someone reports this, you're straight out the door. I've experienced in festivals where I've reported people for poor behaviour, and then 10 minutes later, the person is walking past the bar again. And you're like, but that person's just done something which is, not acceptable behaviour. So I think, have a code of conduct, promote it, and then act upon it. If someone says, this person has said or done something which has made me feel uncomfortable, then that person should go. It needs to be acted upon, and it's about that transparency and sticking to your guns. I think it's for us as well, kind of with the brewery and with the tap room, we're always trying to see how we can more promote kind of inclusivity. It's part of everyone's training now when they join us, to be, to read and agree to the code of conduct. We want our tap room to continue to be a really safe and inclusive space for people to come to, and I think it is. We get a really diverse kind of group of people coming in. We use the Ask for Angela initiative, and we also have like a mental health helpline number displayed in our toilets as well. So if people are just having a hard time, that's something for them. And we have signs around saying, we have zero tolerance to any type of discriminatory behaviour. But I think there's always more we can do. And I think, continuing to make sure people know that if they come and see us or they come to work with us or be a contractor, this is what we expect. And, I think that's the thing for other breweries too. It's, just about sort of making it obvious that this is what you stand for and this is what you won't put up with.
Yeah, that's what one of the things that Ruth said when she was telling us about how they've set up their code of conduct at Elusive, that like she can now give that to festivals and be like, if you don't match our code of conduct, then we can't work with you, because we've all got to be on the same page to make this work.
Yeah, it's the actively asking, like what when she had said sort of like going forward when they attend festivals, it's like, do you have a code of conduct? If you don't have a code of conduct, I'm not sure we can be at your festival. And it's like, that's almost kind of putting that accountability back on the festival to make sure they have things in place, or at least answer the difficult questions as to like why you don't have something in place. But yeah, nothing makes me smile more than when I go into the toilets at a brewery and I see like everyone's welcome initiative or just things like that, because it leaves me with that feeling of like, cool, I feel safe and I feel protected and I feel like somebody has my back, in the sense of if something goes wrong, like they're not going to make an excuse of, well, that person just had a bit too much to drink and you know they didn't mean that or anything. Like I feel like it's the place I want to be because I know that this place has my back. And it's kind of that same at the festivals, right? Like what you're saying of like, you've seen people get away with bad behaviour, and that's almost kind of on a level of, I think sometimes when you have the security in and it's third party security, they're kind of like, yeah, we're not equipped to deal with this type of environment. It's not necessarily what they deal with. So it's almost making sure that that security staff knows what you're having. That code of conduct's actually going to help the security staff to be able to say, now I know what to hold people accountable for and what is and isn't acceptable. And if you don't have that code of conduct, then they can't act and they can't remove people and they can't make sure everybody is as safe as they could be.
Yeah.
So I think we're coming to the end of our questions. Are there any messages that you would like to send to breweries considering doing a Brave Noise, but they might not be sure if they want to do it? What's your advice to them?
I would say just do it.
I think enough. That's what a lot of people are saying to us.
Do it, right?
Yeah.
I think we as an industry, I think, you know, and it's as a craft beer industry, I think we all need to just shout louder, you know, that we won't stand for discrimination or hatred or intolerance in our industry. You know, beer is for everyone. You know, it doesn't really matter what you look like or your gender or your sexuality or anything about you as a person. In fact, that's nobody's business but your own. You should be able to go and have a beer, you know, wherever, and you should be able to drink a beer from a brewery or a business that also believes that beer is for everyone. You know, like I said, it was really great to hear the feedback from one of the bars who took part in the launch, you know, who said that, you know, this had started some really interesting conversations in their bars. And, you know, I've had some really interesting conversations as well in the last few weeks about this. And, you know, like we've said, some people are not aware. So I think if any breweries out there are thinking about it, there's lots of resources online. Like we built our code of conduct based on one that was online. I think probably shared by Brave Noise, actually. It's really simple to do. Or if anybody wants to see what ours looks like, it's on our website. And I'm absolutely happy for people to like crib that and just change the brewery name and put their name in it if that's the easiest way to do it. And yeah, just, you know, all of our brewing schedules are busy and full, which is why it's taken us a while to get to brew, you know, but we committed to it, you know, over a year ago that we would do it. And yeah, make time for it and, you know, make a great beer. But as well as making a great beer, you're making a difference. I think I wrote a blog on our website and I said, you know, every journey starts with a single step. We aren't going to make a difference immediately, unfortunately, but you know, if it only starts one conversation or it gets one person thinking, then that's a win, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's absolutely so important.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We will have to have you back so you can actually talk about Attic properly.
We will.
I had Pick and Mix the other week and it was so good.
I'm literally looking at an Attic sticker on my laptop. I was like, I really like this sticker. It's really great.
Is there anything you want to promote other than the Brave Noise stuff? Like, we'll link to all of that. I'll add the link in about with the blog post as well. Anything else Attic that you want to promote right now to everybody?
I don't think so. Just if you're in Birmingham, come and see us either in the tap room or at the barrel store. We've always got like a really great range of beers on, and you can try all of our like core beers and some of our specials and stuff as well. Yeah, and I guess if there's anyone out there any breweries that just want to talk about Brave Noise or want to talk about what we did or about code of conduct, or any people who want to talk about starting a women's beer group or anything like that, just reach out to me. I'm happy to, help and support, because, we're all in this together and we need to help each other.
Amazing.
I'm definitely going to ask you about the women's beer group thing.
Cool. I'll speak to you on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll talk to you this weekend.
Yeah, you just got to look out for Cath's happy face at all of the festivals and go and drink all of her lovely beer.
Thanks again for your time. It's been really appreciated.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
I'm going to say again, you're nearly done. I'm going to say again, I love this label. If you're listening, go and look this up online because it is gorge. I'm super excited to add it to my Brave Noise wall.
Look it up, buy it, enjoy it. It's taken every ounce in me to not finish this last mouthful so I can save it for this end part because, it is really tasty. But I don't think, of the Attic beers that I've had, I've never had one that I've not felt like... Oh, it's really, really sessionable, really enjoyable. It's really delicious, and again, I feel like every beer festival that they're there, I'm always and going over to Attic because of the friendly faces, but also because the beer is excellent.
Yeah.
So, literally got a sticker on my laptop from I think probably last year's London.
Yeah, it probably is.
Before I got a sticker, and I was wearing it on me, and I was like, "The sticker's so pretty," and then I put it on my laptop because I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I do enjoy their beers. Very excited to have them back. Keep an eye out for that. Make sure you're following us all the places. Tori, if people want to follow you so they can find out when we talk to Attic next, where can they find you?
Follow us to see when we talk to Attic next. Or you can follow me because maybe next April we may need to make a pilgrimage.
Maybe we do.
And do a bit of a beer trail. So
I always say these things though, but then, I have to go and do work stuff.
Yeah, but now it's I kind of said it, so it's we have to sort of hold ourselves accountable. But then I also said that I was going to go to actual Oktoberfest, and I don't think that that's going to happen. So I don't know, we'll see. But you can find out if we actually achieve that, or like Joe said, listen out, watch out for when hopefully we talk to Attic next. So I've got so many great questions I want to ask, just based off the first 2 minutes of the interview. So you can follow me on Instagram. That's adventures_in_optimism. There's a bunch of links to the different things that I don't really keep up with, but if you do email me adventuresinoptimism@gmail.com, I will see that because that inbox doesn't get cluttered with too many things, so that's all good. If you do want to reach out to both of us, you can email us both on awomen'sbrewpodcast@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Instagram @awomen'sbrew. So if you message us there, you could get either one of us. Usually it's kind of me as a first port of call, but recently Joe's responded to things first. So I've
actually been able to.
Bag. It's a lucky dip. Yeah, no, I have not. So I'm sure that will be reversed quite soon. But reach out to both of us there, follow us there, and you can see what we're up to and who we're talking to next. And it's exciting times. Joe, where can people follow you?
If you want to follow me, you can find me at my beer school, which is Love Beer Learning, and we are on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, X, whatever it's called now. We don't really do it there, so don't worry about it. TikTok and Pinterest. I'm pretty much on Instagram, so come find me there. Or you can come to my website, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk, or you can email me, lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. I am thinking about doing a bit more blogging, so go check out the blog on the website. There might be some, fun things happening there soon.
I think about it a lot, and then I don't ever do it.
I think I'm actually going to do it, though.
I've started a lot of vlogs and thought about a lot of vlogs, and then I'm like, should I sit down and do this vlog? And I'm like, there's so many other things to do, and then it doesn't happen. So I wish you many more happy returns on that than for me. But I'm itching to finish this. Let's go drink the rest of this because it's so super, super good.
So on that note, cheers.